Hello students, welcome back. This is Leena ma'am and I am here with the part 2 of the chapter materials, metal and non-metals. Children, in this video we will learn about the chemical properties of metals and non-metals, that is reaction with oxygen, reaction with water, reaction with acids, reaction with bases. We will also come to know about the reactivity series of metals, and based on that we will see that the displacement reaction, comparison between the chemical properties of metal and non-metals. Also we will see that what are the uses of metals and non-metals, right. So let us discuss, or we will see that what are the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. First one, reaction with oxygen. First of all we will see the reaction with metal, then with non-metal as well. So when metal combine with oxygen, it forms metal oxide or basic oxide. Why it is called basic oxide, that we will learn little later with the help of an activity, right. So metal when combined with oxygen, that gives metal oxide. Let us see through some examples. First of all, sodium and potassium, if you will see, when they combine with oxygen, they form the corresponding metal oxide, that is sodium oxide and potassium oxide respectively. Children, here you just see that the reactions I have written here are balanced one. Okay. So first of all you have to write the raw reactions in your rough notebook. Later you try to balance it by your own. Okay. So Na plus O2 gives rise to Na2O, but after balancing it becomes 4Na plus O2 gives rise to 2Na2O, that is sodium reacts with oxygen to give rise to sodium oxide. Similarly, potassium reacts with oxygen to give rise to potassium oxide. Clear? Similarly, for magnesium, when magnesium heated with oxygen, that means when it burns in air, it gives rise a dazzling white light, that is magnesium oxide. So Mg plus O2 gives rise to MgO, that is magnesium oxide. Okay. So let us perform an activity, that is activity number 4.3 from your NCERT science book only. This is there in page number 46. The exact activity I have pasted over here. I had taken a photo of it and pasted it. So that will be easier for you, right. So just see here what we have to check here, that whether or how we can consider, how can we conclude that metal oxide are the basic oxide. Why we call it so? So for that let us check the nature of the rust, which is formed as a result of the reaction between iron, oxygen and water. We have to collect a spoonful of rust and dissolve it in a very little amount of water. You will find that the rust remains suspended in water. Shake the suspension well. Test the solution with red and blue litmus paper. This is what we have to do to find it out whether it is basic or acidic. What do you observe? Is the solution acidic or basic? Because we are not performing the activity live, so I am going to tell you what will be the result, what will be the observation over here. First of all, we have to put the red litmus paper into it. When red litmus paper is dipped into it, it will turn blue. Similarly, you try to dip the blue litmus paper into it, there will be no change. Okay. So because red litmus paper it changes to blue, we conclude that the rust or the oxide is basic in nature. So we conclude that metal oxides are basic oxide. Just see two of the reactions here. First one on the left hand side, just check. First one is reaction of iron with oxygen, which we already performed in the activity. So iron plus that is Fe plus O2 along with that water, that is H2O, moisture is there present in the atmosphere, that gives rise to Fe2O3 dot H2O. Children, you can see here X, right? So, what is the number of particle that is being used? We do not know here. So, if X number of water particle is there in the reaction side, that will be there on the product side as well. For balancing purpose, we have done this, right? So, this is the reactions for rusting. Okay. Similarly, reaction of copper with oxygen. So, copper when exposed to the atmosphere, that combine with oxygen, carbon dioxide and water, that is moisture, right. So, that give rise to copper hydroxide CuOH whole 2 plus CuCO3, that is copper carbonate. They together form the green coating. You must have seen in any of the copper vessels, if it has been exposed in the atmosphere, after some time you can see that there is a green coating above it, isn't it? So, that is actually corrosion of copper. Rusting is also considered as corrosion, okay, because that is eaten up by this particular process, by this reaction, right. So, some of the points that you need to remember about metals. First point is it turns red litmus paper to blue when it reacts with oxygen. Then gold and platinum do not react with oxygen and moisture. Okay. Silver also does not corrode in unpolluted air, but with hydrogen sulfide. That means what? If the air is polluted one, then also it is not going to corrode, or the corrosion will not take place unless and until in that polluted air hydrogen sulfide is present. When it comes in contact with hydrogen sulfide, it converted to black silver sulfide. So, by this process you must have seen that the silver jewelry that we have at our home, after some days if we will keep it exposed, not properly covered, I mean to say, then it get blackened, or we can also say it tarnished. That is also a process of corrosion. So, the reaction, just have a look here. Silver, that is Ag, plus 2 then H2S, that is hydrogen sulfide, gives rise to Ag2S plus H2. Okay. Children, I have not balanced this, just try to balance it. Okay. I am sure that you can do it. Then let us see the reaction of non-metal with oxygen. What happens? Non-metal when combined with oxygen, that forms non-metal oxide, or it is acidic oxide. Okay. When non-metal reacts with oxygen, that gives rise to non-metal oxide. Let us see some of the example. When carbon reacts with oxygen, that gives rise to carbon dioxide, CO2. But when carbon dioxide is mixed with water, that gives you carbonic acid. Now, here you have to remember, carbon dioxide is in a gaseous form, isn't it? So, we will not be able to know that whether it is basic or acidic. How do you find it out whether it is acidic or basic? By dipping the blue litmus or red litmus paper, isn't it? So, what we have to do, carbon dioxide can be mixed with water, and the solution that we get into it, we just put the red litmus paper and blue litmus paper one by one. When red litmus paper will be dipped into it, it has been found that there is no change, but when blue litmus paper is been dipped into it, it is found that it converted into red color. Okay. So, from that we conclude that non-metal oxide are acidic in nature. Clear? Similarly, for sulfur burns in air to form sulfur dioxide. To check it, sulfur dioxide is acidic or basic, if we will dip it into water, that forms sulfurous acid. Actually, that solution is sulfurous acid. When you dip your litmus paper, that is your blue litmus paper, that converts it into red color. Now, children, we will see one of the activity that is given in your book in page number 47, that is activity 4.4. I have just pasted the same pictures from your book here. On the right hand side you can see. What we have to do here is, it is the same experiment, the reactions I had given for sulfur. just before now we have discussed about it. What we have to do here is we have to take a small amount of sulfur in a deflagrating spoon and heat it. Okay. If a deflagrating spoon is not available, you may take a metallic cap of any bottle and wrap a metallic wire around it and give it the shape just like shown in the picture 4.4a, just see right hand side. Okay. As soon as the sulfur start burning, introduce the spoon into a gas jar or glass tumbler and cover the tumbler with a lid to ensure that the gas produced does not escape. Which gas is that? That is sulfur dioxide. Remove the spoon after some time, add a small quantity of water into the tumbler and quickly replace the lid. Shake the tumbler well, check the solution with red and blue litmus papers. I have already told you what will happen. If one by one we will put the litmus paper into that solution, what will happen? Red litmus will show no change, but when blue litmus is dipped into it, it will change into red color. So, we conclude that non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature, right. Now, just a few points that we need to remember. When non-metal reacts with oxygen, what happens? It turns the blue litmus to red. We already discussed about it. And one of the exception, hydrogen is a non-metal. When it reacts with oxygen, it gives rise to water, that is hydrogen oxide we can say here. This is, though we know that the non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature, this is just an exception. H2O is neither acidic nor basic. So, what we call it as? It is neutral oxide, right. Now, the second one we will see that chemical reactions with water. First of all, with metal combine with water to form metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas. Here you have to remember that it produces hydrogen gas. This is important, you have to remember. Okay. So, a few examples we will see. Sodium mixes off with water or react with water to give rise to sodium hydroxide, that is NaOH plus H2. Okay. Similarly, potassium reacts with water to give rise to potassium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. Okay. After knowing about these reactions, let us perform one of the activity, that is activity number 4.5 given in your book in page number 48. Here what we have to do is we have to take 250 ml of beaker or a glass tumbler, fill half of it with water. Now carefully cut a small piece of sodium metal. Okay. Because we have already discussed that small piece of sodium we can take, because we can cut into pieces with the help of a knife. Okay. Dry it using the filter paper and wrap it in a small piece of cotton. Put the sodium piece wrapped in cotton into the beaker and then you observe it. When the reaction stops, touch the beaker. What do you feel? It becomes hot. Okay. Then has the beaker becomes hot? Yes. Test the solution with red and blue litmus paper. Is the solution is acidic or basic? Okay. Because it is hydroxide, it is basic in nature. Clear? So, this is what in the reactions. Some of the points we need to remember here is, you have to be very careful while performing it. Though it has been performed, it should be performed by the teachers only to show you. Still you should know that sodium and potassium are highly reactive metals. When they exposed to air, the hydrogen gas produced is react with water and causes little explosion, and also it gets spoiled. Hence, they are always stored under kerosene. This is one of the important question, children. You have to remember that sodium and potassium both are highly reactive. So, when after the reactions they becomes little explosive in nature. So, that is the reason it is been kept under kerosene. Okay. So, we should avoid the contact of sodium and potassium with water. Clear? Now few more examples we will see. Just have a look here. Metals combine with water to form metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas that we had already discussed. Now the same reaction, sodium and potassium one I had given, but I had given for calcium, aluminium and iron because they form oxides here. Okay, in some of the cases it forms oxides only, and in some of the cases like in calcium it forms calcium hydroxide. Clear? And hydrogen gas. But in aluminium and iron, for your knowledge only I had given here, do not remember whatever in first three reaction, wherever it is forming the metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas, that is there in your syllabus. Rest all are require further steps of reaction. So, I have just make you understand that there are few metals in the first step they form oxides only. In further steps it may convert it to hydroxide. So, first three you have to remember. Clear? Now, what happens when water is reacted with non-metal? Non-metals generally do not react with water, children. Okay? It is kept in water to protect from the action of air. Phosphorus is one of the example which is kept under water, otherwise it will catches fire. One of the exceptions, but we initially we said that non-metals generally do not react with water, but exceptions are there. Oxygen dissolved in water and due to solubility. Chlorine reacts with water in presence of sunlight. Okay. If chlorine comes in contact with water in presence of sunlight, even it forms the hydrochloric acids, but here they release one gas that is called oxygen. Right. This is very important reaction, you have to remember. And again I am repeating that you have to write down the raw reaction in your rough notebook and try to balance each of them. Clear? Third one, reaction with dilute acid. Let us see how metal react with dilute acid. Metal react with dilute acid to form salt and hydrogen gas. Okay. Just see some of the example I had given here. For magnesium, when reacts with hydrochloric acid HCl, that forms the magnesium chloride along with hydrogen gas. Aluminium react with HCl, that is hydrochloric acid, to form aluminium chloride plus hydrogen gas. Similarly, when zinc react with hydrochloric acid, that forms a salt called zinc chloride plus hydrogen gas. Iron when reacts with hydrochloric acid, that gives iron chloride plus hydrogen gas. So, this magnesium chloride, aluminium chloride, zinc chloride, iron chloride, all are salt of that particular metal, right. Just see the formula for them and you have to learn it slowly. Keep on writing on your rough notebook for your practice. Okay. Copper, silver and gold do not react with dilute acid. This is exception you have to remember, right. Hydrogen gas is not evolved when metal reacts with nitric acid. We had I had given here the examples of the reaction with acid called hydrochloric acid, but children remember hydrogen gas is not evolved when these metals reacts with nitric acid. Because why it is happens so? Because it is a strong oxidizing agent and it oxidizes the hydrogen produced to water and is itself reduced to oxide of nitrogen. Just for your understanding, I had given in detail, you will study in your higher class in 10th standard basically. Okay. So, when copper reacts with nitric acid, that is HNO3, it forms copper nitrate, that is CuNO3 whole 2 plus water plus nitrogen dioxide. Clear? If this is this metal copper reacts with nitric acid, these are the product. Here copper nitrate is the salt of copper. You have to remember, children, that non-metals do not react with dilute acid. Okay, metals reacted, and these are the examples. You just practice it and remember also. You have to remember along with that, non-metals do not react with dilute acid. See another activity, that is 4.6, and 4.6 is given in your page number 49 in your book. Just see it. There are some of the metals and non-metals given, and that is written in the tabular form in the second column. What exactly it has been doing in this activity, what we have to do is, though we cannot perform it right now, just you have to remember what could be the answer, okay, and you have to think about it and write it just manually. Take sample of metal and non-metals. The examples are given in the table, just see, in separate test tubes, and label them as A, B, C, D, E, F. With the help of dropper, add 5 ml of dilute hydrochloric acid to each test tube one by one. Observe the reaction carefully. If no reaction occurs in the cold solution, warm the test tube gently. Bring a burning matchstick near the mouth of each test tube. Repeat the same activity with using the dilute sulfuric acid instead of the dilute hydrochloric acid. And your observations, you need to record it, okay, because we cannot perform it. I cannot show you right now, so I am just giving you the solution. First of all, children, just make a pause of this video and try to write it down, what could be the answer, and then match your answer with the solution I am giving. So here is the solution. First of all, just see, when magnesium ribbon, that is a metal, isn't it? When we just put dilute hydrochloric acid at room temperature, what will happen? It gives rise to hydrogen. But when we warm it, the reaction becomes rapid. So generally, in maximum cases, you will see that when we warm it, that becomes the reactions becomes rapid, okay, and at the room temperature it gives rise to hydrogen gas. But in case of copper, charcoal and sulfur, there will be no reaction at all with the dilute hydrochloric acid and also to the dilute sulfuric acid. You carefully just fill up the table in your rough notebook and understand this. The last reactions, the fourth one, that is reaction with bases. How metal reacts with the bases? When it reacts, it forms again the salts and hydrogen gas. Just like acid, it is also forming the salt and hydrogen gas. Okay, just see the reaction here, children. Aluminium, when react with a base, that is sodium hydroxide, and along with that water, that forms a salt that is called sodium aluminate, along with that hydrogen gas. Similarly, when zinc reacts with sodium hydroxide, that is a base, that forms the salt called sodium zincate and hydrogen gas. Okay. What about non-metal? Non-metal reacts with bases to form salts but no hydrogen gas. These reactions are quite complex. One of the example, let me tell you, chlorine reacts with calcium hydroxide to give rise to bleaching powder. Okay. So, for your class it is not required, just you remember that non-metal reacts with bases to form salt, but no hydrogen gas is liberated like metal. Okay. Now, just have a look on the activity 4.7, which is given in your book, page number 50. What we have to do here, it is a reaction of aluminium that we just discussed. This is again the activity should be done by the teacher, but there is no option now. So, you just understand what the activity is saying. prepare a fresh solution of sodium hydroxide, that is the base, okay, in a test tube by dissolving 3 to 4 pellets of it, that is in 5 ml of water. Drop a piece of aluminum foil into it. Okay, aluminum is the metal, so base is already formed, and into it we have to add the aluminum so that the reaction can be performed. Bring a burning matchstick near the mouth of the test tube and observe it. What does it mean? Why we need to bring a matchstick near the mouth of the test tube? Children, just have a look on the reaction which is written on the left hand side. When aluminum is dissolved for the reaction with the base, that is sodium hydroxide, because the sodium hydroxide is freshly prepared with water, the pellets is been mixed with the water. So, water is also there in the reactant side. In the product side, you can see that the salt is been formed, sodium aluminate, that will be settled down at the bottom, but hydrogen is a gas, isn't it? So, hydrogen gas is liberated, that how can you know? For that we have to bring a burning matchstick near the mouth of the test tube. As soon as the reaction will be performed, you have to bring that burning matchstick. It will give a pop sound. Okay. So, this is the nature of hydrogen gas. When a splinter or a burning matchstick is you will bring near the mouth of the test tube, it will produce a pop sound that indicates the presence of hydrogen gas in that particular reaction. Okay, got it? So, this is review question number 1. Okay, here also 3 questions are there. Why phosphorus kept under water? We had already discussed, just go through it properly. And why you cannot store juices in copper, iron, aluminum vessels? Why so, children? Because you know that metal reacts with acid and juice contains acid, right? So, they form some salts which may toxic in nature, right? That is the reason we should not store juices in copper, iron and aluminum bases, which is generally used as an utensils, right? And third question is, what is corrosion? Explain. Just try, we had discussed about corrosion of iron, corrosion of copper, corrosion of silver, isn't it? So, what exactly corrosion means? How can you explain? Just see the answer I had given. Corrosion is a natural process that converts a refined metal into a more chemically stable form such as oxide, hydroxide or sulfide. It is the gradual destruction of material, usually a metal, by chemical and or we can say that electrochemical reaction with their environment. Okay. Children, just see this reactivity series of metal. Just have a look, make a pause of it. This is how potassium is most reactive, and it will just as the arrow mark is showing, the reactivity of the metals decreases, and the least reactive in this list is gold. Okay, you have to remember this in this manner. Okay, then only we can answer for the next reaction, that is displacement reaction. So, once you will remember this, then definitely you will be able to answer the next reaction. What is displacement reaction? A chemical reaction in which a more reactive metal displaces a less reactive metal from its aqueous salt solution is called displacement reaction. That means what? When metal A is mixed with the salt solution of metal B, then it forms the salt solution of A plus metal B. Let us understand this reaction with the help of example. Copper sulfate solution. Okay, copper is metal, its salt solution is copper sulfate, which is blue in color. Then another metal, that is iron, is been dipped into it so that the reaction can be performed, and ultimately what you will get? Iron sulfate, which is again a salt, plus copper. Okay. So, in this reaction, children, just see that iron, on the reactant side you see iron is more reactive metal than copper. If you have learned the reactivity series, you must be knowing that iron is more reactive, right. So, iron, see the definition now, the more reactive metal is which one? Iron. That displaces the less reactive metal, which one? That is copper, from its salt solution. Copper is less reactive metal, and from its salt solution more reactive metal iron is displacing copper. Okay. So, this is iron sulfate on the product side. Just see that I have written some color over here. This is one of the, what you say, this is one of the significance of this particular reaction. How do you know that the displacement reaction has occurred? From its color. Initially the copper sulfate solution color is blue, then iron color is grey. After the reaction is performed, you will see that the solution becomes greenish in color. That means you will come to know that the copper is already displaced from its solution and iron is taken place. Okay, I mean iron is taken copper's place. So, that color becomes greenish, and copper that is left on one side, that is reddish brown in color. Similarly, when into the copper sulfate solution zinc has been dipped, then zinc sulfate is formed along with copper, because zinc is more reactive, that displaces copper sulfate here. I mean copper from the copper sulfate solution and formed zinc sulfate. Clear? Now, one of the activity, that is activity 4.8, it is in the same page in your NCERT science book, page number 50. What you have to do here is, you have to take 500 ml beaker and label them A, B, C, D, E. Take about 50 ml of water in each beaker, dissolve in each beaker a teaspoon of each substance as indicated. Okay. You have to keep the beaker undisturbed for some time and you have to record the observation. You just see that some of in beaker A, what are the example? Beaker A is having copper sulfate and zinc granule. Beaker B is also containing copper sulfate plus iron nails are dipped into it, zinc sulfate plus copper turning in beaker C. In beaker D, iron sulfate and copper turning, and in beaker E, zinc sulfate and iron nail. What you will observe after some time, because we will not be able to perform the activity right now. So, let me tell you, you also able to answer it, because we already know that more reactive metal displaces the less reactive metals from its aqueous salt solution. So, from this you can answer it. Just see what will happen in beaker A. Copper sulfate plus zinc will give zinc sulfate plus copper, because zinc is more reactive than copper. Similarly, in beaker B, iron sulfate will be formed, and this displaces iron being more reactive, that displaces copper, which is less reactive. But zinc sulfate, when in the zinc sulfate solution, when copper turning is been mixed, what happens? There will be no reaction. Why so? Because copper is less reactive than zinc, so it will not be able to displace it. Similarly, in iron sulfate also, copper is less reactive, so it will not be able to displace iron from its salt solution. So, there will be no reaction, it will be left just like that. The way you have mixed both the things and you started your activity, it will be same. Okay. That shows that there will be no reaction, there is no reaction occurred in that particular beaker. Similarly, in beaker E, into the zinc sulfate you have dipped iron, and it shows no reaction, as iron is less reactive than zinc. Clear? Children, this is the almost we are at the last topic, uses of metal. Again, this is the part which is given in your book, so I have just cut paste here. And you should be able to guess why metals are used in making machinery, automobiles, aeroplanes, trains, satellite, industries, gadgets, cooking utensils, water boilers, etc. Okay, so these are the field where metals are used. I had given some of the example, like iron is used for making pins, nails, tools, machines, construction of buildings, bridges, etc. Aluminium is used for making utensils, wires, furniture, parts of aircrafts, vehicles, machines, for packing food and medicines, etc. Similarly, copper is used for making wires, vessels, electric gadgets, etc. Gold and silver are used for making jewelry, coins, medals, etc. Platinum is used for making jewelry, electric gadgets, plugs in vehicles, etc. Sodium compounds are used as common salts, chemicals, etc. Similarly, calcium compounds are used for making cements, glass, etc. There are many more examples of uses of various metals, but I had just given few of them, so you have to remember all this. Okay. Similarly, let us see the uses of non-metal. In the same page it has been said that in your book it is written, you are also familiar with the uses of some non-metals. Here are some interesting one. We are sure that you will guess them right. Let us see the first point. Non-metal is essential for our life, which all living beings inhale during breathing. Which non-metal is that? Yes, you are right. That is oxygen. Non-metals used in fertilizers to enhance the growth of plants. What are they? Nitrogen. It can be phosphorus also. Remember NPK? It is there in your first chapter, crop production. So, NPK is your potassium, that is metal. So, we will consider only the non-metals, that is nitrogen and phosphorus. Okay. Non-metals used in water purification process, what is that? It is chlorine, correct. Non-metal used in purple color solution which is applied on wounds as an antiseptic, it is iodine. Non-metals used in crackers, sulfur, phosphorus, all of them, isn't it? So, here I had given few more examples. Oxygen is used for breathing, we already discussed. Chlorine is used for purifying water, discussed. Phosphorus is used in crackers, that is also discussed. Along with phosphorus, sulfur is also used for the same purpose. Nitrogen and phosphorus are used in fertilizers, discussed. Graphite is used in making leads as it is a good conductor of electricity. Okay. Graphite means it is again the allotrope of carbon, so included here. Carbon is used as a fuel, that is coal, you know this. Bromine is used in dyes and pesticides. These are the few examples I had given here. Again, there are vast number of uses, so few of them you have to remember here. Children, with this chapter finished. Okay, but before we will wind up, some review question. First one is, explain about the reaction between iron sulfate and copper. Now, if you have the knowledge of reactivity series, you must be able to answer all this. An iron knife is kept in blue color sulfate solution, turns the blue solution into light green. Why so? I told you one of the significance of the displacement reaction is color changing, that you have to tell me and just write it down in your rough notebook. Third question, what will happen if you drop some zinc pieces into blue copper sulfate solution? Okay, just write it down. That's all, children. With this, we are come to an end of this particular explanation part. Children, just go through the video properly and go through your NCERT science book properly, and I will see you with the another new chapter. Thank you so much children. Bye bye.